Now we are recording. This is our week 1 lecture for advanced clothing construction. The textbook this week that your readings are being taken out of is the sewing textbook.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, keep that one not packed that you can get to easily. The forum discussion, if you can, get in there and get that done before you get on the road. Otherwise, it is due by the end of the week.
Okay.
Taking measurements for your pants. These can be your personal measurements. The dress form that you have, you would not be able to put the pants on it because it does not have split legs. And the other focus is constructing the pants, putting in a fly zipper, so another way of installing a zipper, and taking a look at the pants and trying to identify where perhaps some alterations to the pattern might need to be made. And you just make these out of muslin fabric so that you don't have a huge investment in it, and you can then make modifications to your pant pattern so that you have a custom pant for you. The bands and cuffs, that's part of the reading, and that is, we're not putting a cuff at the bottom of the leg on the pant, but the reference for bands is a waistband, and it's very similar to a waistband like you did on your skirt for the intermediate construction class, but rather than the closure being on the side of the body, the closure is at the front of the pant where the zippers are. So measurement activity, taking those measurements, your muslin, up close pictures and things for the fly zipper, and then the pant alteration assignment. You're really just identifying what changes you would be making and on the pattern.
Okay.
If those are
like alter the pants. We just need to identify what we would need to do.
You need to identify it and show me like on your pattern where you'd be making those changes. Okay. Yeah, but you don't have to
alter the pants.
Yeah, you don't have to, although if it's a very slight or minor one that you can just do it as sewing machine, because sometimes the alteration would require like having to recut the fabric completely, and I don't want anybody to need to do that. But if it's just like, oh, I just need to take it in or let it out, a little 1/4 of an inch here or something, you could do that just to check yourself to say, am I making my assumption correct? And check it. And then if you know that is, and you know where to mark that on your pattern, then you're set to have a great, fitting pant pattern for yourself. So you should have the pant provided in your kit. The muslin or a like fabric, meaning just kind of, it's easier if it's a solid color. If it has prints or stripes on it, sometimes it's harder to see the indicators, which I've got some slides here that show that. So even if it's just a solid color, basic cotton is best too. It's the easiest to sew on, about 2.5 yards. 7-inch zipper. It does not matter what color, because again, these are just kind of a practice sample. And then your basic sewing supplies. So here's a back view of the pant. And if you're doing it for yourself, on yourself, you might see if there's somebody who can take a photograph of you, because even with a mirror, you're trying to twist around, and so then you're distorting it a little bit when you do that. So either a mirror or have a hand mirror so that you can stand straight and kind of look at it from the back. Now with these pants, my seam allowance is actually sticking, it's like I have them on inside out. The seam allowance on the sides and inner legs are poking to the outside. That way it's easier to kind of pinch in or maybe take stitches out wherever I need to make some adjustment. But what we're going to find here, or the assessment I'm looking at, is saying, you know what, it's a little tight through the bottom because there are some, and it's loose under the bottom and in the upper thighs. So there's the arrow that's kind of pointing out why I'm saying it's tight through the bottom. And it fits kind of real snug there. And then just below that arrowhead, you can see about 3 or 4 wrinkles. I don't know if my cursor shows up here, but right in here that kind of point to this area, and then you can see them on this side saying it's a little tight through there. So by letting out my side seams, and I may just need to do it on the back edge of the pattern, not the front, just maybe 1/4 of an inch would relax that, and so it would lay much smoother.
Okay.
All right, there's the stress wrinkles that are pointing towards the problem. Now these wrinkles down here showing that it's loose under the bottom and in the upper thighs. Whoops. So in this case, like on the inside leg of the pant, I'd probably take off about 1/4 inch to 1/2 an inch. And then over here through the thigh, take in, maybe start with 1/4 inch or so. All right, the front of the pants. It's tight through the lower hip and high thigh area, like right in here. And part of that too was when I was wearing them, I could kind of feel it was tight, but right in this area, which is even with about the same place on the back bottom. And then the side views of the pants show again the looseness under the buttocks on the back, but on the front again, it kind of being tight.
Okay.
So, you know, those adjustments are made. Now, these would be per my body. Somebody else making this same size and trying them on, even though our measurements might all be the same, it may fit them completely different because of the shapes of our body. And really, when it comes to pants, if you've got one that, you know, you like the fit of, you tend to try and go back and find, can I get that in another color? And stuff, because when it looks good, you know it. So there were some of the indicators where it's loose and then tight on those pieces. This is an example from another one of, I can't remember if this was a student or I got this online. This also is a good help if you draw your lines like at the crotch level, the hip level, the straight-a-grain, and the knee level.
Okay.
And what you're kind of looking for from all your front and side and back views is that kind of staying parallel to the ground and or perpendicular to the ground as far as the grain line. Because that too, if it gets distorted, might help you identify and narrow down where a problem might be. So I liked that picture kind of showing that. This pant, though, is cut at that kind of low rise, whereas the pant that you all have the pattern for actually goes up to the waist.
Like the belly button almost.
Yeah, and to the natural waist. And it's still good to know that for like your basic pant sloper for you, that would be a custom sloper for yourself. That's where the waist is, but you can always say, I'm going to lower my waist 2 inches and then have, you know, a pant that is a low rise, which is maybe more the height of what pants are being styled right now, being sold.
Mine are all high-waisted, so this is the perfect pattern for me.
Okay. All right. Good. Okay. So just want to give you a little heads up of what's coming up in the next couple weeks. You will be designing a dress. You're going to create a Pinterest board to share with me, just with some inspiration images, just so I kind of get an idea or feel for what it is you're trying to go for. Okay. You're going to do a sketch up of the dress so that I can see what it is. But my recommendation is that you base your sketches basically from ideas of pattern instructions in your book. If you feel confident or comfortable with pattern manipulations and say, no, I think I can put in my style lines or make my added fullness adjustments, you know, where I want to, that's great. I don't want to hold you back. But if you're not real sure, it's best to use that textbook because it can help walk you through step by step by step on some of those pattern manipulations faster than you like trying something, waiting for me to answer an email, and you know what I mean? So sticking to something that kind of walks you through the process. I'd also recommend, depending on, you know, if you've had pattern making too, which I'm trying to recall if some of
Haven't.
you have. If you haven't, or had, it just kind of depends on what, how much have we covered in that textbook. I would not fault you if you're not doing a contouring one, because if you haven't had pattern making 2, we haven't talked about contouring type patterns. So, within your knowledge base right now, that's what I kind of want folks to work with. You'll be making a muslin of the dress. You'll be making any changes to the pattern based on what that muslin might be showing you. Did you get it exactly like you envisioned? Do you want to make a couple adjustments? Then you will also make the dress from fashion fabric.
Okay.
The last part is an illustration. So the first one is a design sketch. It doesn't have to be fully colored. The final dress might actually look a little different than the first idea.
Okay.
But the final illustration should represent what the dress came out to be.
Okay.
And looking nice. And these steps take us through the final 2 weeks of this class. So some will be in for week 2 and some will be for week 3.
So do we make the muslin pattern next week or week 3?
I think,
Matter?
yeah, actually, I think the pattern is next week. The muslin, I kind of give you like into about Tuesday or Wednesday of week 3.
Okay.
That, so it's kind of like you get the pattern turned in. You could either get started on it, but if you also wanted to get some feedback from me, then I give you a few days to get back, get it made out of the muslin.
Okay.
If you have questions about something, you are more than welcome to email me prior to the due date of the project being in, because if you want some feedback sooner so you can keep moving, absolutely. I'm happy to do that.
And we can't make just like a basic dress. It has to have style lines and things like that.
It doesn't have to. Well, let's see here.
Because I'm really awful at darts and style lines. Not so much. Not really. We haven't really practiced darts, I guess. We did it in the first sewing class, so.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
Like
yeah, the
like
dress, that top, you didn't do darts. We actually modified the pattern so that you weren't seeing darts. Let's see. So kind of a basic dress, but from your sloper.
The sloper that we have from the last class?
Yes.
Dress? Okay.
Yeah. I really don't want just a reiteration of that. Okay. So, but maybe the body is similar, maybe some changes to the neckline. And you just had the CAD class. So on paper, just like how you practice changing your necklines, same sort of deal on paper. You would just be tracing just that section of the neck. And if you change the neck, like maybe I'm just going to do this in the camera angle here. Let's say we square it off. And so then that is a change. Borrowing that edge. So you got to think about, the edge finish. So doing the facing like you did in the dress that you sewed up in the first sewing class. And so that's kind of that process. And since you just came off of CAD class, even though you were doing it in the computer, you got a good, refresher on facings and this and seam allowances around edges. You practice doing it. You were just doing it on screen rather than by hand on paper.
Okay.
All right. You could do some added fullness kind of thing. Maybe the dress gets a yoke across, a style line across here, and maybe what's below is added fullness in some way. One-sided, double, two-sided fullness, something like that.
Okay.
All right.
Sewing makes me nervous, but you already know that, so.
Yes, I know.
I'm a little nervous about my assignments because I don't know how long it's going to take for us to get to Florida, and I'm going to try to get it done tonight, but I don't want it to be, excuse my language, half-assed. So,
gotcha. Well, just keep me posted with how you're getting, like when you get there, how long it takes you to get settled in and stuff. I know that
Monday is like all day is orientation and things like that, and I have Tuesday and Wednesday off. And I've already started on next week's assignments, like things that I can do on the computer, like the Pinterest and the sketch. Good. So I work ahead and also stay in this week so that I'm like not getting too far behind if I do have to ask for extensions.
Okay.
But I mean, everything next week, it seems pretty, I can get it done pretty fast and
Okay. Good.
on. But I'm kind of worried about manipulating the pattern. But I did okay, I guess, in the last sewing class. The
Mhm.
pattern didn't mess up too much, so
Yeah. Yeah.
hopefully this.
You look like you were grasping, not only because you really were taking on two different things there. One, the Illustrator program,
Mhm.
and then pattern concepts.
You haven't looked at my moto jacket yet. That took me hours. It took me probably like 7 hours to do. And
Yeah.
like the sleeve, the part, actually I want you to if you could show it to me. So on the sleeve, the part
Mhm.
where you did the little cut, and then you it's like a little like triangle you cut. I could not figure out how to make it to where it was cut at the bottom. The Pathfinder tool, I couldn't find it anywhere. Like whenever you had it, it wasn't where you had it on my computer.
Okay.
I think I could do.
Under Windows, you can always go find them there if you're not seeing it. And then the little picture icon depends maybe on, because you know how they share little tabs for the panels. The one being visible might have been one of the other tabs, so it didn't look like that.
Okay.
That might have been why it didn't, stand out to you.
Well, you
But
don't see much.
yeah, I haven't got that far through all the grading of all the different classes. But like I look into, is the majority of assignments in, did the final, was that addressed? Then I move you on into the next class, and assuming that we're looking pretty good on stuff.
Okay, let's hope. I don't want to fail that
But
class.
yeah, you and Sierra took on you took the double whammy, but that's really good. I, tried to make a lot of that class half and half, like half review of concepts that you did and try to remind you, yes, you've done this. Now we're just going to do it on the computer. But then I tried to take you some steps beyond that to, just, keep you.
That moto jacket was a hard assignment.
It was? Okay.
For me anyway, just because I mean, I know how to use Illustrator a little bit better, and now I can manipulate my curves a little bit better, but it was still, I had to redo it a couple times.
Okay. Well, that's good. I'm glad that you feel better with Illustrator.
I'm just a little bit scared about line drawings on Illustrator, though. Do we have to do a line drawing for this on Illustrator?
I don't remember if I made that an absolute in the instructions. I think I'm still accepting hand-drawn ones as long as they're nice and neat and stuff. But yeah, give it a try.
But if it's not good, I'm not turning it in.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up here or stop recording at this